So the San Antonio Spurs got the second pick in the NBA draft, and today we're going to be looking at all their potential options, what they could be doing with their pick, and we're going to be ranking them from likely to not happening. We've got a bunch of tiers right here and a bunch of different scenarios. So the first up is trading for Dejounte Murray, and I know Dejounte Murray left on bad terms, but he is an unbelievably good fit for this team. I don't think it's that crazy to see them trade maybe like a couple of Atlanta's picks back for him. I think this is a lot more likely than people think. I know he left on bad terms. I know he badmouthed the franchise, but still, for a player of his level, you might just forgive and forget. So that's kind of what I'm thinking that they're going to go and do in San Antonio. Could happen. People are going to call me crazy for that, but I'm going to put Jamal Murray in could happen. I think it's a lot more likely than people are giving credit for, because look, regardless of how much of a like annoying thing, well, not annoying thing, like as regardless of how much he's hated by San Antonio Spurs fans and made by the franchise, look, if he's good enough and he's going to help them win, they might end up doing it. Next up, we have got drafting Stephon Castle, probably with the 8th pick. Highly unlikely with the 4th pick, but probably with the 8th pick getting Stephon Castle. Stephon Castle is going to be one of the best defensive players in this draft. He's actually going to be an absolutely incredible player for them, or just as a role player for whoever drafts him. But when it comes to the San Antonio Spurs, I don't know how much they need a non-shooting defender, more so than they need shooting. So at that 8th pick, it's likely there are other guys that are going to be available that I think are more likely. So for me, Stephon Castle is going to go into like the hipster's choice. I think a lot of people really like Stephon Castle and are kind of mocking him to the Spurs more so because they like Stephon Castle rather than he'd be a fit. And I don't think you draft for ability in a draft as weak as this draft. You probably draft for fit. Next up, we have got Sheppard, and it's taking him. More than likely at 8. They could take him at 4 if they're confident of one of Topic or Dillingham being there at number 8. But at the same time, he could go 3 to Houston. No one knows what's going to happen. So for Sheppard, I think he's a really good shooter. He's going to be a good defender, and he's going to fit perfectly. But he's probably not going to be their first choice. I'm still going to put Sheppard. It's actually between likely and could happen. If he's on the board at 8, I think they take him at 8. So I'm going to say it's likely to take Sheppard, but I'm not sure if he's going to be on the board at 8. Now, that's where the real issue is. Like, I don't know if he's on the board or not. If he's on the board, I think they almost certainly take him. I would be shocked to see him on the board and see him not be taken by them. But at the same time, you just never know when it comes to things like this. So I'm going to put him in likely, but yeah, maybe not. Maybe he's going to be gone by the time 8 comes around. Next up, we've got Ron Holland. So Ron Holland, again, is one of the higher upside players in this draft. He could be one of the best players in this draft. He could, like, honestly be a guy who shoots up the boards in the pre-draft workouts. And he's highly unlikely to be there at 8. He's almost certainly not going to be there at 8. Because, again, he was a guy who was projected maybe to be number 1 before he went to the Ignite. And he actually played pretty well at the Ignite. But when it comes to Ron Holland, I'm going to put him in like hipster's choice. I'm not going to put him in like could happen because I can't see him falling to 8 and I can't see them taking him at 4. Like, there's a weird scenario that they do, but I'm just going to put it in the hipster's choice because he is still a high upside player. Next up, we've got Zaccharie, who is actually shooting up the boards after the combine. Zaccharie tested above Donovan Clingan in a lot of the speed and agility categories. He's also a good better free throw shooter than Clingan. He looked like he could shoot the ball a little bit, and he measured at 7'5" in shoes. Yeah, he's huge. So when it comes to Zaccharie, it's a tough one because obviously he has a lot of upside, or he doesn't have that crazy amount of upside, but he does have flaws. He's going to do some things really well, and he's going to be a very flawed player as well. So you have to take that into account with Zaccharie. So with Edey, I'm going to put him in. I'm going to put him into, he's never going to go 4. I'm going to put him into the hipster's choice, the like 3rd one, because taking Edey in the top 10 is a bit of a risk. I wouldn't be that surprised to see it. They might trade down to get him, but it's unlikely, and they already have Victor Wembanyama. Maybe they're thinking, you know what, on the off chance Zach Edey is a guy that can guard Victor Wembanyama, let's put the two of them together. Let's have 2 7'5" guys on the floor at the same time, which would be hilarious. But I'm going to put it into the hipster's choice. If they had the 10th pick, I would put it into could happen, but I think at 8 they can probably get a better fit. Next up is Rob Dillingham, one of the best point guards in the draft. And the fact that he literally came out and said, my job with San Antonio will be to pass the ball to Wemby, means that he very clearly wants to go to San Antonio. He wants to be taken with that number 4 pick. And I think of the number 4 pick, not Donovan Clingan, I think for the number 4 pick, Rob Dillingham is probably the most likely player that they use that pick on. If they don't use it on him, if they somehow, in a weird way, like they take somebody else at 4 or someone slides and he's there at 8, they're going to take him. But I think he's the most likely player as of right now to go at number 4. Next up, we have got drafting Donovan Clingan at number 4, and that's assuming, or 8, assuming he's still on the board. So Donovan Clingan is a really good defender. A lot of people are comparing him to a Walker Kessler. His jump shot looks pretty smooth. He's going to be a good shot blocker from the day he sets foot in the NBA. He's going to be relatively mobile as far as 7'2" guys go. At the same time, he is like 2.5 inches shorter than Zaccharie. Doesn't have an 8-foot wingspan like Edey either. And actually tested below Zach Edey in a lot of agility drills. I wouldn't be that surprised to see him slide a little bit when it comes to draft. And he could go as far as number 9. He could genuinely drop to that. So I don't think they take him at number 4. But if he's there at 9, like, I don't mind Zach Collins as a backup big. Like, I really don't mind Zach Collins as a backup big. I think they're more likely to take him than take... No, I'm going to put it into hipster choice as well, because they're unlikely over bigs. They have Wemby, but they might. And I think Zach Collins is probably going to be better than these two guys are immediately. And I don't know if they have even more upside than him, because we can't forget what we looked at Zach Collins like when he was drafted. Next, we've got Dalton Knecht. This guy is a shooter, a guy who's been shooting up boards as of recently. And with that number 8 pick, assuming they go for Rob Dillingham, shooting is probably their biggest need. So when looking at this, it's between likely and could happen. Because I think if Reed Sheppard's on the board, they take Reed Sheppard over Knecht. But if Reed Sheppard's not on the board, I think Knecht might be the move, you know. I think he might, in fact, be the move that they're going to go with. So I'm going to put Dalton Knecht into likely with that number 8 pick. Next, we've got Alex Sarr. And how would they get Alex Sarr? By trading 4 and 8 for 1. Or some sort of a trade with Atlanta that gives them some of their picks back for number 1. The only chance that I see of this happening is if the Spurs fall in love with Alex Sarr. The Spurs could fall in love with Alex Sarr and think that he's the perfect combo player to combine with Wemby due to his athleticism, his ability to shoot a little bit, and his rim protecting ability. And just having the two of them there could just completely just revolutionize the defense, just defense in general. I think that there is a chance of it happening. Like, I genuinely do. I'm not going to put it in no chance of happening because they have the Hawks pick and they might value their future picks more than they value the number 1 pick in this draft. But for this, I'm going to put it in the what is going on in San Antonio because it would just be confusing. It's just be very confusing for the direction they're trying to go, what they're trying to do, and I'm not sure if it's fit with Wemby. So I'm going to put this in the Brian Windhorst what is going on in San Antonio category because if they go and make this trade, I'm just stumped as to what direction the San Antonio Spurs are taking. Next up, we've got Matas Buzelis. This is a guy who, again, has unbelievable potential. This guy has as high potential as anyone in this draft. Trust me on that. Like, this guy's potential is through the roof. He's going to be he could be a really good NBA player. I don't think saying he's going to be one is, like, accurate because you just never know when it comes to these guys. But he is a boom or bust player. He's a 6'10" guy who can shoot the ball. He can handle the ball. He's got a lot of potential. But again, he could bust. I'm going to put it in at number 4. Because he's definitely not going to be on the board at 8. I'm going to put it into hipster's choice. I don't think he's it's that crazy a thing to take him at 4. But it's unlikely. And I don't see him slipping to number 8. If he's there at 8, they might take him, but I don't see it happening. Next up, we've got Zaccharie Risacher, a guy that's likely to be taken in the top 2, but could potentially slide to 4. He's a 6'9" wing, can shoot the ball, despite the fact he didn't shoot the ball particularly well in the French league. He's got good length, will be a good NBA player. And in general, Look, if he falls to 4, I think they take him. Even though they might need a point guard, they might just go best available and take him at 4. But I can't see him slipping past. I can't see him going past Houston. I think Houston definitely take him, which is why I'm going to put it into could happen. But I'll put him in could happen, purely because they might take him at 4. And they might bank on one of, for example, if third pick is Dillingham, if Washington go and take Clingan number 2. So not third pick is Dillingham, third pick is Sheppard, Washington at number 2 take Clingan. They might bank on the next couple of teams not taking a point guard, because you've got LaMelo Ball at 6, you've got Scoot Henderson at 7 with those teams. So they might be banking on taking him early, and that one of Topic or Dillingham are still on the board at 8, which is likely to happen in that scenario. So I can't put it below could happen, but unlikely. Then we've got Nikola Topic. Had he not been injured and had his shooting splits been a little bit higher, I think this would be the most likely pick at number 4. And I think people in general are thinking it's going to be one of Topic or Rob Dillingham. So for that reason, I got to put it in likely. I think they have 2 picks. So I think that like they're not going to take Sheppard at 4. It's between one of these 2 guys at 4 more than likely, and then maybe one of these 2 guys at 8. If he's still on the board, they take him. If not, they might take him. But it is going to be quite interesting. Either way, Topic or Dillingham, it's hard to see which one of those 2 that they take. Probably going to be Dillingham, but they could very easily take Topic, whoever works out better for them. Next, we've got Tidjane Salaun. Salaun, basically, I don't know, maybe Wemby wants to play with French players. I don't know. Like, this guy does have quite a lot of upside again. 6'9" wing, shot the ball okay in the French league, was pretty decent for the French national team when he played for it, for the under-18s. I'm going to put it in, though, not happening. I'm going to put him in not happening, even though he does have a bit of upside. There's a weird scenarios where he might end up top 10, but it's unlikely. I can see him he could go anywhere between 8 and 25 in this draft. But it's unlikely that he's going to be taking 8. It really is, unless Victor is a massive fan of him. Next up, we have got trading for Trae Young. This is more likely than Dejounte. Because, well, San Antonio Spurs fans don't hate Trae Young. Trae Young has not said anything about the Spurs organization, and Trae Young wants to play with Wemby. And obviously, having the picks they have could happen. It could happen. A lot more likely than Dejounte. Dejounte, I have a weird feeling that there is going to be some sort of a trade with the Hawks and the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Hawks and the San Antonio Spurs. And I'm not going to rule out Dejounte returning. I'm not going to rule it out. I know most people call me crazy for that, but I'm not ruling it out. But yeah, Trae Young obviously has could happen. Next up is one crazy one that I saw. And it's Kuminga and Clay trading the number 4 pick and number 8 for Kuminga. And then also having Clay in some sort of a weird sign and trade. Yeah, it's not happening. It's not happening. I don't even know how that's going to work, but it's not happening. Next, we have basically trading 4 and 8 for an established player. Trading 4 and 8 for an established good NBA player, and maybe one more pick in order to make like a win now move. Whether that be Brandon Ingram or I can't even think of anyone else at the top of my head. But there's obviously other players that fit this mold, not just Brandon Ingram. But I'm going to put the what is going on in San Antonio, because surely if they're going to go and trade for a win now player, they already have another win now player lined up. Like, let's just say they go 4, 8 and Keldon Johnson for Brandon Ingram. Like, if they're going to make that trade, they're not going to be a playoff team as of right now. Maybe they have like another trade lined up or another free agent lined up that they're almost certainly going to get. If they do make a trade like that, I would be very confident that they have something else lined up, which is the what is going on in San Antonio situation. Then we've got Cody Williams. Cody Williams is an interesting player because a lot of people had him going 1 for a lot of this year. Wasn't great in the tournament, but he is still a long wing, can shoot the ball a little bit, and his brother was really good in the NBA, which kind of helps. I think he's probably going to go to OKC. But I'm still going to put him as one of the hipster choices. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility to see him go top 10. It's not out of the realm of possibility to see him go 8. He could shoot the lights out of pre-draft workouts, and they could say, you know what, like, we got a 6'8" guy that can hit jump shots. and will be able to play a bit of defense. And who knows, maybe he develops like his brother. So, no, I think, without question, into the hipster choice. This could happen. This could happen. So anyway, that is the video. This is obviously my predictions for, or my breakdown of what could happen for the San Antonio Spurs on draft night. I think the most likely scenario is they take one of Rob Dillingham or Nikola Topic at number 4. And then at number 8, they're probably going to go and take a shooter in if Sheppard's still there, or like a Dalton Knecht, those type of players. Obviously, if some guys are sliding, like again, like your Risacher, if he starts to slide, or if Matas Buzelis is there at 8, things might change. But again, this is just my prediction as of right now. Things might obviously change as the pre-draft process goes out.